For today, again, the topic, thank you so much all for coming. I know most of you are kind of off work and coming to here. It's really amazing to have us all gathering here to talk about potential opportunities, how to explore the opportunities in the Chinese market. And so here we are. We'll start with a brief introduction of each of our panelists here. And we'll start with Sandra. Hi, Sandra.
Okay.
So Sandra, she is a partner and managing director of Spring Angels Capital. Also, she has a variety of experiences in financial services and accounting. And she also has multiple certified professional designations from CFA, CPA, CA, and MBA in accounting degree from University of Toronto. We also got Sophie.
Hello, everyone.
So Sophie here. Sophie is a reporter with Mergermarket. Prior to Mergermarket, she was a Shanghai-based reporter with Yicai Media Group. So Yicai Jing, if you speak Chinese, you probably know that's a very famous finance report, like news journalism, covering venture capital and startups in China. We also get Eddie Li here. So Eddie is an executive partner and founder of First Financial Controller. He was an ex-executive of Acer. I guess that was the advance of technology of connecting. We also have, so Eddie, he has an MBA in Hong Kong and an MBA in supply chain from ETH, Swiss Federal Institution of Technology in Zurich. And lastly, we have Michael here. So, hi Michael.
Hi.
So Michael is the public relations manager at OTTPay Inc., which is Fangyuan Guoji, right?
Fangyuan Guoji.
Fangyuan Guoji. Yeah. So with 11 years experiences in China, Michael is the go-to for innovative ways to bridge Canadians and Chinese. So yeah, they will all talk about themselves, their background, their career focus, their past experiences, just in a second. That was a very brief introduction of them. So without further ado, we will be starting asking questions for these four amazing panelists. And if you have any questions, feel free to write them down, or later in the Q&A session, feel free to raise your hand. But if you are an introvert, like me, feel free to just write them down and pass that to me. I'll read them to our panelists. Cool. So the first question, we will, I guess, start with Mike.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for the first question.
Oh, wow.
So could you please tell us a bit about your background and past experiences? And which industry you're from? Did you work in China before? What's your current career focus in Toronto?
Wow, okay, that's a lot of questions. I'll try to do it fast. A little bit of my background. After my studies, I went to work with Nortel Networks at a time when the stock was $120 per stock. Within 3 months, it was at 42 cents a stock. It was really, really a horrible experience. 50 of my colleagues and friends moved on to something else. I was the last one left on the floor. So I had a deep moment where I said, okay, I have to get out of here and travel. So I ended up going to China, and one of my issues was to find out what skills I could bring to somewhere else to be able to travel for a long term. I didn't want to do a week or two, so I ended up planning for 1 year in China, teaching English, of course, at my ripe old age of 25. So I'm from the education industry. It ended up being a little bit longer than 1 year. I stayed 11 years. Met my wife, had 2 children, bought my first apartment, my first car, got my first management position, director position there for a company that's very well known in China. WSE, Wall Street English. 华尔街英语. Yeah, okay. All right. I'm very proud because we worked really hard for that school. And then, okay, career focus in Toronto. Well, so obviously I've been back from China for since 2013, the end of 2013. And when I heard that there was a possibility of WeChat Pay and Alipay coming to Canada, I was begging for a job. Obviously, I was there when this started in China, and I saw the tremendous impact that it had on China. It basically went from cash, skipping credit, to WeChat Pay, Alipay. And I thought that Canadians deserve to know about this, deserve to have the ability to use it, and Chinese deserve to be able to come here and be able to use a method of payment that they're used to. When I first arrived in China, it was really difficult to find Interact. So anyways, that's, I think, yeah, not too long.
That was perfect.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
That's me.
Hello everyone, I'm Sophie and I'm originally from Shanghai, China, and moved here like one year ago. So I've been a financial journalist for more than 5 years in China, and covering corporate news and Chinese corporates and Chinese venture capital space. When I worked in China Business News, also called Yi Cai Jing, which is one of the largest financial media group. And then I became a Shanghai-based reporter with Mergermarket, which is a London headquartered newswire and among financial communities. So basically we provide financial news like fundraising or IPO and merger acquisition for those investment banks, law firms, and private equity firms. So now I continue to be the reporter with Mergermarket, and I continue to following those Canadian tech companies.
Hi everyone, my name is Sandra, and I think Joy mentioned that I'm a partner and managing director at Spring Angels Capital. So a little bit about the fund. So this is a Toronto-based venture capital firm that invests globally in early-stage startups with an investment focus in artificial intelligence, high-tech in general, and entertainment. About my career, I guess. I started my career at Ernst & Young in China, doing external audit, financial advisory, due diligence, and then after that I came to Toronto to get my master's degree at University of Toronto, and then after that I started my career in Toronto. Firstly in investment banking at BMO Capital Markets, and then a private equity firm also in Toronto, and then most recently at a corporate development team focusing on strategic investments in a large financial institution also in Toronto. Yeah, that's basically it. I've been always like interested in learning about news and in startups in technology base, and actually initiated fintech venture. I was trying to initiate a big fintech venture firm in my previous company, but because it's relatively conservative of the company in their investment focus, so it didn't really fit well. But then right now at my current job, I'm able to do what I really enjoy, investing in technology startups.
So myself, Eddie, I hope that my face is not so old, but actually I have if we talk about China, I have 4 business relationship with China since 1986, 30 years ago. I'm the pioneer in Shenzhen, I set up the first building called International Shenzhen Guomao, Shenzhen Trade International Center, something like that. I built 5 restaurants over there at that time. By the time it's just opened the Shenzhen market at around less than 1 million people. Right now it's 15 million people over there, right? So this is the first time I entered to China. Second time I worked for Acer. I helped Acer set up Acer China. I set up Acer head office in Beijing. At that time, Acer is from Taiwan, right? Just to let you know. Acer Computer. So I helped in year 2000, I think in 19 something area. And I set up an Asia Beijing for them. The third one, I'm VC in Shanghai. I carry 350 million money doing venture capitalists in Shanghai. At that time, it's year 2000. So I'm also is the pioneer in Shanghai VC. At that time, it's only two VC at that time. The fourth one, I moved another because I'm not making mistakes, but I moved in Asia Beijing head office to Shanghai. Okay, so and it's the fourth one. I did it somewhere around year 2005, something like that. So I have I pretty very close to China, but now I'm in Toronto. I run in my own company, helping different small and medium-sized company as acting like a director or a CFO or executive. But also, actually, I carry some director head with big corporations. I also have there's a business center in Markham, doing helping startup and new entrepreneur start the business in Markham. So this is what I'm doing right now.
Great. So that was great introduction for four of our panelists, and we will move on to the second question, which is, could you share one experience that you're most proud of from your past when you were in China, and why is it worth? I mean, we will figure out why eventually, but please share one experience with us.
Start the same way as before?
Yeah, or whoever wants to start first.
Okay. I proud of. I don't know. I just want to see the audience over here, right? So you want to go into China, right? So most of them want to know. So I maybe I'm proud obviously. Of course, I set up Asia China, but give you a little issue over there is it's too early to set up. Asia, if you are part of over there, but the difficulties is Taiwan. Asia is a Taiwan company, right? So imagine that. Okay, it looks like it's a Taiwan company. It's not an American company. Computers. So they have a local Lenovo over there. So Asia looks like that. Okay, who are you? Right? So where I changed the Asia name, like I never drop down the Asia Chinese name to just put in Asia in that. Okay, instead of using the Chinese name called Hongji now. So that means that okay, the people will feel that okay, this is American company, okay, or Western company. So this is one of the experience that okay, we have to do it all the time. Right? So this is of course there are power of so many things, but this is one of the example. Right? So.
And why do you think that's worth sharing with the audience here?
I think okay, when you go into China, that okay, you have to position yourself in a different way, right? So you're not thinking about okay, you're thinking your product will work and go in there, but the culture is different, right? So they're looking in a different way. So like a simple computer, right? Acer is one of the top two by the time when I'm managing. So even though that okay, we have a very big problem going to China because the difference is they not adopted like you are not an American company, you are not Apple. At that time, there's no Apple, right? You are not HP, you are not Dell, right? And you are not Lenovo, right? So it's very difficult. So when you go in there, you have to think about how you positioning yourself, right, in your company. Oh, yeah, go back.
Going back. Okay.
Yes.
Because can you repeat the question? Because I tried to.
Yeah. The question is, could you share just one experience in your past that you're most proud of, and why do you think that's worth sharing with the audience here?
Okay. About my past. Okay. I think that one thing that sorry, I was thinking about this as like more like a macro, like what I'm proud of China market instead of my own experiences. Yeah. Or can I pivot to that and talk about that?
Yeah, sure, or you can.
I can talk about both. I can talk about
Sure,
both.
yeah.
So for the China market, because for VC, we also, as I mentioned, we invested globally. So we actually have invested in some companies in China as well. And then we were seeing several trends. One is the fast-growing economy really brings a lot of opportunities in area like consumption or consumer upgrade. And then the large population really brings a lot of opportunities in area like entertainment. That's why we have invested in and also education. That's why we have invested in both. We have invested in animation production companies that produce animations for kids, and also education companies that provide online education courses for kids. I guess that's what our firm sees as the opportunities in Chinese market. Well, I guess another one was the population. The large population is now the aging problem is also a big thing. So we are investing globally for healthcare companies because we think that, well, I mean globally there's a huge market too, but then in China especially there will be huge application opportunities for that. Yeah, I'm not sure if I answered the question correctly.
Definitely, yeah. And when you were talking about the aging problem, or as in a potential opportunity for, I guess, Toronto-based entrepreneurs to enter China eventually, if we're that kind of niche market, why eventually do you think that's worth to kind of sharing this topic?
Well, we invested in healthcare companies like medical devices companies in Canada and US, and I think one huge advantage of companies in Canada and US is the technology, and that's kind of also how you can protect your company when you try to enter China market, because I think that if your company is purely based on business model, it's really hard to protect your company when you enter China market. Look at, for example, most recent case, Uber. It completely lost its battle to Didi, not because, because it's really based on business model, and it's basically cannot scale as fast as Didi because they have their local advantage. So, but then things like healthcare, where you rely mostly on technology, and you can build your technology barrier that really can protect your company when you enter the China market, if you really have good products.
Awesome, thanks. That was a great answer to that.
And yeah, I wouldn't say proud of, but would want to share something impressive when I did some interview in China, because 3 years ago I interviewed some foreign entrepreneurs of startups in Shanghai, and I found them really exciting at the beginning because they found that as a newcomer they are really insightful in identifying some overlooked opportunities in China, and then they have a really good product, they have a really good plan, but after that they're kind of they're having to be faced with all kinds of tricky things, like how to deal with the government, how to deal with the changing policy and regulation, how to do marketing. And a guy from South Africa called Sebastian, I can't remember clearly, and he told me that it took him 6 months to get the approval of the Shanghai government to establish his own business, to get his business started, because they have to get a registration called ICP, which is the abbreviation of Internet Content Provider, and it only took him 2 weeks in Hong Kong to get all these approval. So different cities have different policies, regulations. So and that happened 3 to 4 years ago. So I think that the government should have some changes during these years. But I still want to say that if you're entering Chinese markets, you should be prepared for the challenges, all those tricky things.
Great. Yeah. Thank you so much. And Mike?
I guess one of the things I'm actually most proud of is just having the courage to let go and head towards China in the first place. Now, the reason for that, though, is that it led me to a lot of very fantastic experiences. Namely, my claim to fame. I like to talk about this a little bit. But I was before she was the First Lady of China. I had the opportunity to teach Peng Yiyuan, who was an opera. She was only an opera singer back then, and a general in the army. And I didn't know who she was, and I gave her trouble about not finishing her homework, whatever. Then she told me I'm a general, then I was sweating, then I said, oh my God, I'm so sorry, it's okay. So anyways, but my point is, it's a little bit like a Forrest Gump moment. I didn't know what I was getting into, but I'm very proud to have lived through that. And not that I think she was going to kill me or anything. But I'm very happy to have had the ability to just really go for it, let go a little bit, and really enjoy the ride. When I first arrived in China, I literally understood not a single word of Chinese, and I didn't know what I was getting in for. But I had a fantastic time. So a little bit to kind of segue a little bit with what they said. Sandra talked about Uber. Uber lost out because it wasn't in connection with WeChat, which Didi Dacher was. That's a huge part of it. And Uber didn't exactly lose out because they ended up investing in Didi. So they own, what is it, 49% or 20, whatever, a certain percentage of Didi Dacher. So they made it out fairly okay. But the point of that is, be ready to get into the Chinese market. Be ready to really kind of let go of everything you think you know, and just open yourself to learning everything. And please don't fear laughing at yourself a lot, because you're going to make a lot of stupid mistakes. That's really all I have to say. And I think it's important, because if you are going to do that, it's a fantastic time to do it. They're fantastic people, and wow, that's really all I got to say.
Great. Can I add a little bit to my answer?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot. I think I missed answer was that why I'm proud of it. Well, I mean, as a fund, we don't do technology, right? We use the resources, including money, to help startups to make the society better, and then we are able to participate in these coming trends, like I mentioned before, and then we are able to help startups to catch the chain and to make the society better in every way they can, and I think that's something that always makes me proud.
That was great, I think, mix of answers from different perspectives, and from like a Canadian perspective, who was entering to China, and some local Chinese perspectives. And that was pretty nice. Anyway, just thought I'd cool. So the third question: what are some mutual competencies that you've seen on entrepreneurs with foreign experiences who entered Chinese market successfully? Please provide some examples if you can think of.
I can talk about one company. I think last year there was a company, I think from Toronto, that we looked at, and then they are, so they're a Canadian team, but then they actually went to stay in Hong Kong for half a year because they really want to, well, maybe a little bit background about what the company does. It's a VR company, but then their focus of their product is to help to enhance the user experiences for e-commerce shopping, basically. So they spent half a year in Hong Kong trying to build strategic partnerships with Alibaba and JD.com. So I think they were able to build the strategic partnership with Jingdong.com, and that actually successfully doubled their valuation for their Series B financing. And that's very important. Well, one of the things that's very important is you have to find a very strong strategic partner if you want to enter China market. Yeah.
I think I can. Yes, the first entrepreneur I thought of is a guy from his name is Gao Tianchen in Chinese, but actually he was a businessman from South Africa, and now he is the founder of Naked Hub, which is called 我心谷 in Chinese. And Naked Hub is now one of the most famous resorts in China, based in Moganshan. Moganshan is a beautiful mountain with like 3 hours drive from Shanghai. And Gao and his wife is an architect, a Hong Kong-born architect. They founded Luoxingbu like 6 to 7 years ago, and now, they founded, and Gao could also speak Chinese very well, Chinese Mandarin very well. And at the beginning, the resorts are targeting the foreigners in China, so they bring a wilderness from South Africa, from Africa, and they also keep a very low carbon style. Then after they got success in those foreigners, they started to realize that they could target a much larger group of Chinese citizens who want to escape from the hustle and bustle of city life, and so they are very adapted to Chinese culture. They include some like feng shui in their architect design. And one thing I thought that really precious of Gao is that he always learned how to communicate with government from different levels, from the basic village level to the higher central government. Yes, and he is accustomed to drinking Chinese alcohol, with Chinese officials during feast, and he knows how to strike a balance between what he wants, between what he wants and what is allowed, what the government wants. So yes, and another thing I thought of is that his success is a tribute to the rising middle class, just as Sharon said before. So yes, I think consumption upgrade is one of the greatest field that both Chinese and foreign entrepreneurs could do something really amazing.
Okay, yeah. I think in this way you have to take into prospect, their focus. One is you really enter the market doing business, or you doing manufacturing and export back. So there are two different ways to enter the market, right? So one case like just say a bottle of equipment, or you go to Kickstarters, whatever. So there's you know that, okay, if you're building a product in Canada or whatever, you take 6 months, right? In Shenzhen, you take 6 days. So this is the difference, right? So the cost-wise, everything will be different. So there's a very famous startup is doing HEX, HEX, and then they're doing hardware in support in Shenzhen. Why over there? Because Shenzhen is the hardware of the Silicon Valley, right? So because of Foxconn make Apple, and all these people after 20 years making Apple, they all come out to load, have know-how, knowledge, and building the peripherals around Shenzhen. That's why it become 50 million people over there. And so that's why there's a lot of good successful story, Canadian, Americans, whatever, going to China. They're not only doing inside sales, they're doing manufacturing and coming back. Okay, so this is one. The other one, of course, is you can produce over there and internal sales, right, over there. So there's another good successful story, but also there's a lot of theft over there, because don't focus on the as you say, maybe a lot of competition in set up over there in Shanghai. Maybe a lot of successful story is not going to Shenzhen or Shanghai, because it's so big competition. You're going to the one that on the third level cities that, okay, I talk about even 10 million people. Huh? You know how many people in Shenzhen, in Shanghai? How many know? Population? 33 million, right? So how many people in Canada? So this is the difference, right? So they go to the second or third level city, going to build the case, and then internet, right? So once you get that's why the difficulty, you're going to talk to Shanghai government is very difficult. Go to the third level, fourth level government is much easier with your relationship, because you are becomes bigger than competition. And if you talk about internet, right, it's nothing, right? You go in there, you can spread along in the China area. So this is the successful story, right? Yeah.
Cool. it's going to go, I guess, the thing that I've seen with, I've known a couple, I'll talk about them in a minute, but I think passion, grit, concern for your Chinese customer, and then I have some good news for you. So I think it's very important that when you do go to the Chinese market, you're very passionate about what it is that you're trying to do there. It's you really have to believe in it, because that transcends well. But it's very important because they can tell when somebody's not right away. They have it'll be over. Grit, you have to be determined in that sense as well, that to never give up. And you know, we were just, well, a couple of people have mentioned just the challenges faced with the government and the red tape, and you know, the timelines are a little bit different. I have a story about that actually. When I got married to my wife, we had to go to her province's capital, which was Hefei. So we arrived there on December 26th or 27th, something like that. We went to the marriage office, because there's an office for marriage, and we put in our marriage paperwork, whatever. They said, okay, come back in a few days. So we said, okay. So we came back the next day, and the office had moved the very next day. So we're like, well, what happened? So we found the new office, and then they told us, oh, sorry, it's not going to be today because we moved to the wrong office. So they had to move again. Anyways, I'm just giving you, and this is a very typical story. So you really have to have grit. You can't give up quickly. What I did is I started grabbing furniture and say, okay, tell me where the new office is. I'll help you, and you do that. And then he said, okay, we'll be ready tomorrow. But now I'm grateful because my anniversary is on December 31st, so I can't forget it. All right. Now, I was saying also, it's very important to have concern for your Chinese customers over there. If you are passionate and you really believe that what you're doing is going to help them, that's going to go a long way towards getting you the customers that you want over there. And they're once again going to be very interested in that kind of thing. And the good news that I wanted to share is that more and more, Eddie touched on it, but the internet. So there are ways to minimize risk nowadays and enter the Chinese market via the internet. There's a lot of platforms out there that are happening, and that might be a good way to test the markets early on before actually doing the physical jump and getting in there. I can tell you one thing, is that I know for a fact that Chinese people right now in mainland China, they have the ability to, and they want high quality products from, you know, we mentioned the USA, European countries, whatnot. And in that sense, Canada is a fantastic brand. It's a trusted brand in China. If you say the word Canada, I'm from Canada, oh, Canada, yeah, okay, good. Sometimes, you know, if say you're from South Africa, sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes that's not a good thing. If you say you're from the US, maybe with Trump there, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm not sure how that relationship's going. But Canadian, as far as I've known, has always been fairly a good thing. Like, oh, Canada, oh, cool. So anyways, that's, did I even, yeah? Okay, I think that's it.
That's great, giving examples of the
I probably want to add a little bit more. So, because I realized what I said was a little bit too simple. I gave a little bit more thought about it when everyone else was talking. So I think that several points are very important. One is definitely the product. I think what Michael also said, like you have to really have a very good product. You have to have either a technology barrier, which means that the people in China, they probably cannot compete with your technology, or you have good business model, and with the ability to scale really quickly, because that's how China market works. You get into the market, if you're like internet companies, if you don't scale in 3 months, you're out. So we are typically talking about a 20 million user as the threshold to keep your company safe if you want to compete with Chinese competitors. Yeah, that's very crucial. And before that, you probably, yeah. And then the other one, I think, is the understanding about the Chinese culture is also very important. Well, not necessarily. Well, I mean, like if you're doing business in there, yeah, you probably, you know, go out, have dinner. But people tend to talk talk about business over dinner or drinking. So you probably that's something you have to adapt to. But the other thing is we understand your customer, the culture of your customers. I can think of one example is like how eBay, when it entered China market, how it lost to Taobao, which is the e-commerce platform of Alibaba, is because I think at that time Taobao has a function where it provides, I think it's Ali Wang Wang, so it gives you the function so you can chat. It's like instant messaging, a function between buyers and sellers. And it turns out that it's actually the key why eBay lost to Taobao, because people like to get to know about like the buyers and the sellers. They actually want to talk and they want to know about each other a little bit before they start doing business with each other. But that's like a cultural thing, because I guess in here it really that doesn't, in Western world it probably doesn't matter. And then the third one, I want to add a little bit to the strategic partnerships I mentioned. And then before I mentioned that you have to be able to partner with giant companies like Alibaba or well, like Jingdong, or even like Tencent or Baidu, or other big companies. Then the other thing you have to consider is actually establish your partnership with the government, and that's very important too. But it's probably hard for a completely foreign team to establish. So you probably need to find a good strategic partner, like a VC firm with China background, or a VC firm in China that can help you connect all the dots. Yeah.
It's great that you mentioned that, because later on we will have one of the questions, which is like for people who are from here, what's the best way, or do you have any advice in terms of like recommending them to how to enter China successfully, or like as the entry point?
Okay, then I will talk more details at that time. Yeah.
Awesome. I just want to get a show of hands. How many of you currently have some questions in mind to kind of ask? I'm not going to actually ask you, but like just get a show of hands. Please, 1, 2 people. Okay, so maybe we have 3 people. Yeah. I'm going to ask one more question, and we'll have like a short Q&A for like 3 questions before we move on to like the following questions, just to get a sense of what you really care about and what you're really going to ask our panelists. So the next question is, in your experiences, which areas or industries would be best as the starting point in the Chinese market, like from your experience? Or,
well, I'd like to start with this one. Yeah. Sorry, I make this very personal. I'm sorry if that makes anybody uncomfortable. Both my kids were born in China, and I went through the milk powder crisis. Yeah, it was horrible. Essentially, what had happened at that time was that some companies making powdered milk had added some plastic or melamine or something like that to the powdered milk, and as a result, some infants died. Right? Sorry, I'm saying this my language. Now, at that point, that was a huge issue. There was a lot of frustration in China as such, and what happened was actually there was a milk powder drain from Hong Kong, because everybody from the mainland would actually travel to Hong Kong, buy quality milk powder, and then bring it back over the border. So much so that people would bring boxes like the size of these 2 tables together and stacked like 3 tall. It was insane. So they actually limited that. Now, all that being said, I would say that baby products in China are a great way to get started. If I had any skill in making baby products, I would be doing that right now. And that's, sorry, that's my 2 cents. That's what I think. There you go. That was it.
Okay, I guess I can add on to that. So one trend I mentioned earlier is due to the fast-growing economy is the consumption or consumer upgrade. So now Chinese customers in China are really getting more and more picky now. They don't just they're not satisfied with okay quality products. They are looking for better products. So one example is that one of the companies we looked at in China. It's like they're not doing anything fancy. So basically, Starbucks. There are a lot of Starbucks in China too, and then Starbucks has a dessert bakery section. It was actually outsourced to other suppliers locally, and then before they were not doing very well. I think they were selling their bakeries for around maybe like 4 Canadian dollars on average, but they're not doing very well. And then they did a survey, and then I think they realized that it was because the quality of the bakery is not good enough. And then there is this company that we looked at. The founder realized this problem and was able to come up with basically a better tasting bakery. And then they were able to use better ingredients and then price it at like a slightly higher price, like $5. And then Starbucks used their products and it actually went very, very well. So, but that means that the customers, they don't mind paying a little bit more for better quality products. And that's becoming the trend in China. And the other 2 areas I mentioned, I think that one is because of the large population, some industries have advantages. One is the artificial intelligence, which is also our funds focus, investment focus, because it's generally easier and cheaper to gather data, and data is very important for AI companies. And yeah, this is just the case for China, and also industries that are relying on large population, like education and entertainment, and also like to tailor the aging population, the healthcare, and like senior living houses.
Yeah, I want. Okay. I kind of echo what Sandra and Michael said, that as I mentioned before, consumption upgrade is surely a very obvious field that we can do something, and because more and more Chinese are willing to try and pay for good quality, good service, and good taste. And education is really another field, because as you may know that for many families in China, one kid, they averagely have 6 adults to pay and invest in their future. So this is a field that is good. And another one is surely AI. And I want to say that as the government, because AI is, in China there are plenty amounts of data for you to training and improve your model. And then, but as the government is supportive of the domestic industry, I think it will be better to find a partner, find a local partner for entering markets. And for AI, I think it will also be better if you could find appropriate field to apply your technology, such as manufacturing, because many enterprises in China they want to improve their efficiency because the labor cost is rising.
Okay, so they are talking about educations and health. So I'm thinking that several areas also can be focused, like food and beverage for sure. Just talk about food and beverage first. Cafe Pacific, okay, in the beginning they talked with Spain, okay, at that time 2 years ago, and they want to open a passenger line from China to Barcelona. I don't know if it's Barcelona or Madrid. And so they're thinking about, okay, hey, this is a good business for tourists. But somehow comes out worth, okay, 90% is cargo. So because China wants prosciutto from Spain. Okay, so that's tell Chinese market actually want premium products. They don't want cheap products anymore. Wine is another product, and they're very popular right now, going to Canadian wine. Some, as far as I know, some Canadian wine, private family already in over there. Food business. But I also want to talk about something they don't like. Okay. First of all, they like one that, okay, like the technology, they will. If you want to go on technology side, you can get a endorsement from government, because technology certificate, something like that. But if you go in that, okay, you need to have like 7 patents ready, so that they can give you a certificate. If you get that certificate, of course, you get an endorsement, you can have a funding, everything. So they are welcome on the Canadian or global company going there to set up a technology company over there. But of course, you carry with the IP. Going back with the they don't like is for sure that is social media. Dating, okay. Forget about that, okay. So many rules that they will restrict it, okay. Don't think about social media. Facebook talk about so many years cannot go in. So also privacy law, and we have a friend over there talk about putting the clouds, the data in the Chinese Alibaba clouds with only $1. Why not putting in the Amazon clouds cheaper? No, of course not. It's a privacy because they can monitoring you. Okay, for sure that it's very. You have to take a bet. Okay, to have a big brothers looking on your data, right? So that's something that you really have to be careful. Some of them they really not welcome, especially social media for sure.
Do we have any questions from, yes?
Yeah, thank you so much for starting this. Like I live in Vienna. I'm from Toronto, and I arrived, and when I saw the meetup, I thought, I'm a little bored because I'm working all the time, and so I wanted something different. But I'm really excited because the panel between this gentleman, who's much older, and saw Shenzhen. I have an Encyclopedia Britannica atlas, and I saw Shenzhen from 1980. It blew my mind to see how many people are there. I can't even imagine. I can't wait to go to China. I've never been there, right? And part of my reservation is a little bit from the media side. So when you see something like, Apple Computer Store, it looks like Apple, it works like Apple, but it's not Apple, then my greatest fear is just this, we all know that there's competition everywhere, right? We all know that people steal ideas from other people, we know this, right? But when we talk about actually creating wealth, it requires rule of law, so that I know that I have a mechanism. So there's something in the back of my mind where I'm thinking like, yeah, I'm definitely going to go to China, there's no question about it. I want to see Hong Kong and Shenzhen and Beijing, for sure I want to do that. My big reservation is that in starting a business over there, because I'm involved in Bitcoin, we do custody of Bitcoin, so I'd like to go there just to see what the industry is doing over there, but at the same time, I'm a little bit worried because, again, how do I protect myself, right? How do I protect myself? Food, sending it over there, I get it. If it's real, it's better than the cheap stuff. Technology, you could rip it off. It's very easy to, and then what kind of recourse do I have? Do you see what I mean? So for me, it's very much like...
well, I mean, to be honest, since they've become part of the WTO, though, there's a bit more protection in terms of, especially in the technology.
Yeah, but you know what? I travel around the world, so this is what I see, behavior. I don't believe in the law. I don't believe in government. I don't believe in media. I walk on the street, and if I see that people are happy and smiling, this is a happy place. I don't know why they're happy, but they're smiling. Right? This is how I think. So I can't wait to get to China, but I think it's really a beautiful place. I have many friends that have been there and done business. But the one question I have for you really is, I go there and start a business. Who the hell is going to protect me if it's not my partner? And if it's my partner, are they strong enough? And do I have to get in bed with the government? I get it. It's not the only place in the world where you have to get in bed with the government. Even the Canadian government, you need to get in bed with the government. Right? So how do you protect yourself from that?
Talk about Bitcoin maybe, right? So the Chinese right now, they are very ambitious at doing Bitcoin mining, whatever. So like mining Bitcoin, right? Most of them is not, of course, it's not regulated in China. They will shut down your factory in a minute, in a seconds. But most of them are moving to Mongolia or Canada doing Bitcoin. Right now they are very hot in Montreal and in Manitoba, right? Because of the lower electricity power costs. Right. But actually Manitoba is getting 7% up in the power. But having said that, okay, go back to your Bitcoin business. If you go into China, so for sure that you have to take a little risk because they will shut down. It's not regulated. Same, I tell you that I know a little about the financial.
No, I'm not planning on opening up.
Just say talk about like monetary again, right?
Yeah.
So the regulation, as you say, yes, is very. Sometimes that you're doing. There's a lot of laws, thousands of laws in China, but how many really follow the laws? I'll give you an example. Actually, WeChat and Alipay, these two QR code is not allowed in China. Actually, it's not regulated because even the government is not open the regulation to using QR code to using payment transactions. But why? Because the government say fine, I let them open because I let them go. But the law, if they want to change it, it's so difficult. Right? So this is one of the, so as everyone is happy in China, actually, I tell you, is every day when you wake up, business is ongoing, still going, right? And food poison getting less. but a lot of Western people stay in China. They are very, I mean, they have a very good living. Right? I think in your, especially you are Western, you are well protected. I tell you, you don't have any problem with if you are Western people carrying with a passport. You are well protected. No one wants to touch Western people.
They feel responsible for you, actually. They feel responsible for your safety and stuff like that.
Well, nothing. Listen, I'm not.
I mean that's all.
I do not worry about somebody hitting me or.
No. You no one will hit you.
Like that.
Even on another
If it was Brazil, I would.
No, even on another
By the
level.
way, I also live in Vienna for some Vienna for some time.
It's beautiful.
Beautiful.
So
But
what
that's why
I worry about?
Huh?
What I worry about?
You don't need to
safe, food, water, air, or what I worry about? IP?
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, the IT.
That's
Okay, right now.
Intellectual
I'm
property.
sorry, I'll give you one more sentence about IP.
Yeah.
IP. Right now, if you, a lot of people asking me this question. Okay, how to protect my product, right? So, yes, okay. Once you register, normally you have a register in Canada or North America or Americans. Okay, and then the last one, the third one, I very highly recommend is China. So once you register the IP. What happens is that Alibaba, if you find someone over there, they put it over there, they will take it down. If you already protected, they are really concerned about IP in China at this moment. So it's work, Don't thinking about China, just copy. Yes, China, a lot of apps are copying, but they duplicate, right? I mean, but they're doing you good. But I mean, they work, getting better and better. IP works. And at least you cannot, if you have a product in Alibaba, you IP that, the other one will be taken down immediately. Same with Amazon, that's right.
Sorry, don't worry about IP. For example, the American movie, maybe 5 years before, always first show in America. Then 2 months ago, we can see this movie in China. Why? Because they worry about their IP. Somebody will copy them before they are shown in China, right? But now we always show 1 day together at one time. You can see movie in America. Now you also can see in China same date because now government is protecting the IP. Don't worry. You need to worry about
That's why I came tonight. I wanted to just ask a question.
No, it's okay.
Things change, man. That's why I came.
I think it is better.
I didn't come here to say you guys, not to go there because of IP. I said, did something change? I don't know. Maybe it did.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I can't wait to go to China.
Another way is to just very quickly, but consistently set the standard. Then nobody can follow. They just can't. Just can always be going forward. That's what we used to do in the English school.
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on what business you are really doing, right? If you are doing like really, if what you're trying to do has like really high technology barrier, I can think of one example. Back in March of this year, everyone, between the U.S. and China trade war, and then one key component is the chips, because U.S. has been a pioneer in making the chips, basically, and then have China tried to catch up? They have tried all of the ways they could, but the thing is, there is a huge technology barrier. Even though they tried what they can, get the chips and just like open the chips and try to copy everything, it still didn't work as well as the U.S. products, and that's the technology barrier I'm talking about. It's not like it's not something you can just copy easily. Yeah. And then depends if your business is really reliant on business model, there might be some risks because business model is not that hard to copy, right? Then it gets down to how you grow your business, and it gets down to what strategic partners you can get with you, not just the government, but also like the local giant companies and the local VCs, like the capital basically. And the other way, I think, yeah, I think. Well, I have another point, but I all of a sudden forgot. But basically, how you scale your business too. Like you have to be able to scale your business quickly. Like I mentioned before, if you are still trying to just work like 10 hours or like 8 hours a day, but your Chinese competitor is going to catch up with you very quickly. So you have to be able to beat them in the speed of scaling your business and always have better and better products. Yeah, so that's very important. I think the market still value that. Yeah.
I think it's upcoming like mid this month. We also have we will also be having a startup visa seminar about startup visa, I think, in early July. So we do have some pretty cool events upcoming. So if you feel like this is an interesting event, please follow us on our meetup, Startup for Chinese. There will be like more events coming up. And I think Brian will be kind of introducing our kind of other meetup group or whatever, like for the UOT Lab shortly.
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm the founder of Startup Chinese. I just want to do one brief introduction about the UOT Lab. So UOT Lab is actually set up by Startup Chinese and Segment 4. Segment 4 is one of the biggest developer community in China. They have like about 2 million active users every month, and they're the biggest hackathon organizer in China also. And they already held different kinds of hackathon events in Taiwan, Hong Kong, Singapore, and they're very exciting to having someone here about blockchain maybe in the end of this year. And also they want to have more like developer communities overseas. So basically I have some very good connections with their founders. So we set up this UOT Lab to gather more developers in UOT because we know that UOT has a lot of talent there. So T Lab is basically has 3 meanings. T stands for technology, Toronto, and also T-type talent. So that's all we are expanding for. And so far, UOT T Lab has already started one event, and we are going to have another one in the near future. And hope you guys can be there and talk to the students over there. Maybe get to know each other and everything. Okay, thank you.
Right. So currently we do have some great partners to kind of sponsor the venues, the food that we are having right now, and also just kind of for partnership for like promoting the events and stuff. So these are 51.ca. If you are Chinese, probably you would know this is the largest, I guess, Chinese community website for Toronto-based or Ontario-based Chinese here. And also Segment Pop, Brian just briefly mentioned with Segment Pop, and also Speedy Cloud, who is kind of the sponsor for today's visa. So very thankful for that. And also North Space and Startup Work, they're kind of helping us to promote the event. And so Brian is the
yes, that's me. You got my WhatsApp and Telegram and everything over there, so you can just feel free to contact me about everything.
Feel free to scan the QR code. I mean, here in Toronto, we don't get a lot of chance to use the QR code that often compared to when you're actually in Asia. But yeah, so feel free to contact us over here. And also, currently, so the Startup for Chinese meetup, there's I'm helping with some website design for the meetup, and also we got Colin here. He's primarily helping with the WeChat accounts and also organizing the events throughout the months in here. So another QR code. So this will lead, if any of you have the WeChat for everything, feel free to scan it again. That would lead to what Colin is managing on our WeChat official account. That would kind of show you our monthly newsletters and updates of what's happening for the upcoming events. And also you can visit our startupforchinese.com for the upcoming events as well.
Later.
Yeah. Or later we can always scan the code. Awesome. So for today, again, the topic, thank you so much all for coming. I know most of you are kind of off work and coming to here. It's really amazing to have us all gathering here to talk about potential opportunities, or even how to explore the opportunities in the Chinese market. And so here we are. We'll start with a brief introduction of each of our panelists here. And we'll start with Sandra. Hi, Sandra.
Hi.
So Sandra, she is a partner and managing director of Spring Angels Capital. Also, she has a variety of experiences in financial services and accounting. And she also has multiple certified professional designations from CFA, CPA, CA, and MBA in accounting degree from University of Toronto. We also got Sophie.
Hello, everyone.
So Sophie here. Sophie is a reporter with Mergermarket. Prior to Mergermarket, she was a Shanghai-based reporter with Yicai Media Group. So Yi Cai Jing, if you speak Chinese, you probably know that's a very famous finance report, like news journalism, covering venture capital and startups in China. We also get Eddie Li here. So Eddie is an executive partner and founder of First Financial Controller. He was an ex-executive of Acer. I guess that was the advance of technology of connecting. We also have, so Eddie, he has an MBA in Hong Kong and an MBA in supply chain from ETH, Swiss Federal Institution of Technology in Zurich. And lastly, we have Michael here. So, hi Michael.
Hi.
So Michael is the public relations manager at OTTPay Inc., which is Fangyuan Guoji, right?
Fangyuan Guoji.
Fangyuan Guoji. Yeah. It's so with 11 years experiences in China, Michael is the go-to for innovative ways to bridge Canadians and Chinese. So yeah, he will they will all talk about themselves, their background, their career focus, their past experiences, just in a second. That was a very brief introduction of them. So without further ado, we will be starting asking questions for these four amazing panelists. And if you have any questions, feel free to write them down, or later in the Q&A session, feel free to raise your hand. But if you are an introvert, like me, feel free to just write them down and pass that to me. I'll read them to our panelists. Cool. So the first question, we will, I guess, start with Mike.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for the first question.
Oh, wow.
So could you please tell us a bit about your background and past experiences? And which industry you're from? Did you work in China before? What's your current career focus in Toronto?
Wow, okay, that's a lot of questions. I'll try to do it fast. A little bit of my background. After my studies, I went to work with Nortel Networks at a time when the stock was $120 per stock. Within 3 months, it was at 42 cents a stock. It was really, really a horrible experience. 50 of my colleagues and friends moved on to something else. I was the last one left on the floor. So I had a deep moment where I said, okay, I have to get out of here and travel. So I ended up going to China, and one of my issues was to find out what skills I could bring to somewhere else to be able to travel for a long term. I didn't want to do a week or two, so I ended up planning for 1 year in China, teaching English, of course, at my ripe old age of 25. So I'm from the education industry. It ended up being a little bit longer than 1 year. I stayed 11 years. Met my wife, had 2 children, bought my first apartment, my first car, got my first management position, director position there, for a company that's very well known in China, WSE, Wall Street English. 华尔街英语. Yeah, okay. All right. I'm very proud because we worked really hard for that school. And then, okay, career focus in Toronto. Well, so obviously I've been back from China for since 2013, the end of 2013. And when I heard that there was a possibility of WeChat Pay and Alipay coming to Canada, I was begging for a job. Obviously, I was there when this started in China, and I saw the tremendous impact that it had on China. It basically went from cash, skipping credit, to WeChat Pay, Alipay. And I thought that Canadians deserve to know about this, deserve to have the ability to use it, and Chinese deserve to be able to come here and be able to use a method of payment that they're used to. When I first arrived in China, it was really difficult to find Interact. So anyways, that's, I think, yeah, not too long.
That was perfect.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Sophie and I'm originally from Shanghai, China, and moved here like one year ago. So I've been a financial journalist for more than 5 years in China, and covering corporate news and Chinese corporates and Chinese venture capital space. When I worked in China Business News, also called Yi Cai Jing, which is one of the largest financial media group. And then I became a Shanghai-based reporter with Mergermarket, which is a London headquartered newswire and among financial communities. So basically we provide financial news like fundraising or IPO and merger acquisition for those investment banks, law firms, and private equity firms. So now I continue to be the reporter with Mergermarket, and I continue to following those Canadian tech companies.
Hi everyone, my name is Sandra, and I think Joy mentioned that I'm a partner and managing director at Spring Angels Capital. So a little bit about the fund. So this is a Toronto-based venture capital firm that invests globally in early-stage startups with an investment focus in artificial intelligence, high-tech in general, and entertainment. About my career, I guess. I started my career at Ernst & Young in China, doing external audit, financial advisory, due diligence, and then after that I came to Toronto to get my master's degree at University of Toronto, and then after that I started my career in Toronto. Firstly in investment banking at BMO Capital Markets, and then a private equity firm also in Toronto, and then most recently at a corporate development team focusing on strategic investments in a large financial institution also in Toronto. Yeah, that's basically it. I've been always like interested in learning about news and in startups in technology base, and actually initiated fintech venture. I was trying to initiate a big fintech venture firm in my previous company, but because it's relatively conservative of the company in their investment focus, so it didn't really fit well. But then right now at my current job, I'm able to do what I really enjoy, investing in technology startups.
So myself, Eddie, I hope that my face is not so old, but actually I have if we talk about China, I have 4 business relationship with China since 1986, 30 years ago. I'm the pioneer in Shenzhen, I set up the first building called International Shenzhen Guomao, Shenzhen Trade International Center, something like that. I built 5 restaurants over there at that time. by the time it's just opened the Shenzhen market at around less than 1 million people. Right now it's 15 million people over there, right? So this is the first time I'm entered to China. Second time I work for Acer. I helped Acer set up Acer China. I set up Acer head office in Beijing. At that time, Acer is from Taiwan, right? Just to let you know. Acer Computer. So I helped in year 2000, I think in 19 something area. And I set up Acer Beijing for them. The third one, I'm VC in Shanghai. I carry 350 million money doing venture capitalists in Shanghai. At that time, it's year 2000. So I'm also is the pioneer in Shanghai VC. At that time, it's only 2 VC at that time. The fourth one, I moved another because I'm not making mistakes, but I moved in Acer Beijing head office to Shanghai. Okay, so and it's the fourth one. I did it somewhere around year 2005, something like that. So I have I PT very close to China, but now I'm in Toronto. I run in my own company, helping different small and medium-sized company as acting like a director or a CFO or executive. But also, actually, I carry some director head with big corporations. I also have there's a business center in Markham by doing helping startup and new entrepreneur start the business in Markham. So this is what I'm doing right now.
Great. So that was great introduction for 4 of our panelists, and we will move on to the second question, which is, could you share one experience that you're most proud of from your past when you were in China, and why is it? We will figure out why eventually, but please share one experience with us.
Start the same way as before?
Yeah, or whoever wants to start first.
Okay. Proud of, I don't know, I just want to see the audience over here, right? So you want to go into China, right? So most of them want to know. So I maybe I'm proud of course, I set up Acer China. But give you a little issue over there is it's too early to set up. Acer, if you are part of over there, but the difficulties is Acer is a Taiwan company, right? So imagine that, okay, it looks like it's a Taiwan company, it's not an American company, computers. So they have a local Lenovo over there. So Acer looks like that, okay, who are you, right? So where I changed the Acer name, like I never dropped down the Acer Chinese name to just put in Acer in that, okay, instead of using the Chinese name called Hongji now. So that means that, okay, the people will feel that, okay, this is American company, okay, or Western company. So this is one of the experience that, okay, we have to do it all the time, right? So this is of course there are power of so many things, but this is one of the examples, right? So
why do you think that's worth sharing with the audience here?
I think okay, when you go into China, that okay, you have to position yourself in a different way, right? So you're not thinking about okay, you're thinking your product will work and go in there, but the culture is different, right? So they're looking in a different way. So like a simple computer, right? Acer is one of the top 2 by the time when I'm managing. So even though that okay, we have a very big problem going to China because the difference is they not adopted like you are not an American company, you are not Apple. At that time, there's no Apple, right? You are not HP, you are not Dell, right? And you are not Lenovo, right? So it's very difficult. So when you go in there, you have to think about how you positioning yourself, right, in your company.
Oh,
yeah, go back.
Going back. Okay.
Yes.
Because can you repeat the question? Because I tried to.
Yeah. The question is, could you share just one experience in your past that you're most proud of, and why do you think that's worth sharing with the audience here?
Okay. About my past. Okay. I think that one thing that, well, sorry, I was thinking about this as like more like a macro, like what I'm proud of China market instead of my own experiences.
Yeah.
Or can I pivot to that and talk about that?
Yeah, sure. Or you can.
I can talk about both. I can talk about
Sure,
both.
yeah.
So for the China market, because for VC, we also, as I mentioned, we invested globally. So we actually have invested in some companies in China as well. And then we were seeing several trends. One is the fast-growing economy really brings a lot of opportunities in area like consumption or consumer upgrade. And then the large population really brings a lot of opportunities in area like entertainment. That's why we have invested in like, and also education. That's why we have invested in both. We have invested in like animation production companies that produce animations for kids, and also education companies that provide online education courses for kids. I guess that's what our firm sees as the opportunities in Chinese market. Well, I guess another one was the population. The large population is now the aging problem is also a big thing. So we are investing globally for healthcare companies because we think that, well, I mean globally there's a huge market too, but then in China especially there will be huge application opportunities for that. Yeah, I'm not sure if I answered the question correctly.
Definitely, yeah. And like when you were talking about like the aging problem, or as in a potential opportunity for, I guess, Toronto-based entrepreneurs to enter China eventually, if we're that kind of niche market, like why eventually do you think that's worth to kind of sharing like this topic?
Yeah. Well, yeah, we invested in healthcare companies like medical devices companies in Canada and US. And I think one huge advantage of of companies in Canada and US is the technology, and that's kind of like also how you can protect your company when you try to enter China market. Because I think that if your company is purely based on business model, it's really hard to protect your company when you enter China market. Look at, for example, most recent case, Uber. It completely lost its battle to Didi. Not because, because it's really based on business model, and it's basically cannot scale as fast as Didi because they have their local advantage. So, but then things like healthcare, where you rely mostly on technology, and you can build your technology barrier that really can protect your company when you enter China market, if you really have good products.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks. That was great answer to that.
And yeah, I wouldn't say proud of, but would want to share something impressive when I did some interview in China, because like 3 years ago I interviewed some foreign entrepreneurs of startups in Shanghai, and I found them really exciting at the beginning because they found that as a newcomer they are really insightful in identifying some overlooked opportunities in China, and then they have a really good product, they have a really good plan, but after that they're kind of they're having to be faced with all kinds of tricky things, like how to deal with the government, how to deal with the changing policy and regulation, how to do marketing. And a guy from South Africa called Sebastian, I can't remember clearly, and he told me that it took him like 6 months to get the approval of the Shanghai government to establish his own business, to get his business started, because they have to get a registration called ICP, which is the abbreviation of Internet Content Provider, and it only took him like 2 weeks in Hong Kong to get all these approvals. So different cities have different policies, regulations. So And that happened 3 to 4 years ago. So I think that the government should have some changes during these years. But I still want to say that if you're entering Chinese market, you should be prepared for the challenges, all those tricky things.
Great. Yeah. Thank you so much. And Mike?
I guess one of the things I'm actually most proud of is just having the courage to let go and head towards China in the first place. Now, the reason for that, though, is that it led me to a lot of very fantastic experiences. Namely, my claim to fame. I like to talk about this a little bit. But I was before she was the First Lady of China. I had the opportunity to teach Peng Yiyuan, who was an opera. She was only an opera singer back then, and a general in the army. And I didn't know who she was, and I gave her trouble about not finishing her homework, whatever. Then she told me I'm a general, then I was sweating, then I said, oh my God, I'm so sorry, it's okay. So anyways, but my point is, it's a little bit like a Forrest Gump moment. I didn't know what I was getting into, but I'm very proud to have lived through that. And not that I think she was going to kill me or anything. But I'm very happy to have had the ability to just really go for it, let go a little bit, and really enjoy the ride. When I first arrived in China, I literally understood not a single word of Chinese, and I didn't know what I was getting in for. But I had a fantastic time. So a little bit to kind of segue a little bit with what they said. Sandra talked about Uber. Uber lost out because it wasn't in connection with WeChat, which Didi Dacher was. That's a huge part of it. And Uber didn't exactly lose out because they ended up investing in Didi. So they own, what is it, 49% or 20, whatever, a certain percentage of Didi Dacher. So they made it out fairly okay. But the point of that is, be ready to get into the Chinese market. Be ready to really kind of let go of everything you think you know, and just open yourself to learning everything. And please don't fear laughing at yourself a lot, because you're going to make a lot of stupid mistakes. That's really all I have to say. And I think it's important, because if you are going to do that, it's a fantastic time to do it. They're fantastic people, and wow, that's really all I got to say.
Great. Can I add a little bit to my answer?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot. I think I misanswered was why I'm proud of it. Well, I mean, as a fund, we don't do technology, right? We use the resources, including money, to help startups to make the society better, and then we are able to participate in these coming trends, like I mentioned before, and then we are able to help startups to catch the train and to make the society better in every way they can, and I think that's something that always makes me proud.
That was great, I think, mix of answers from different perspectives, and from like a Canadian perspective, who was entering to China, and some local Chinese perspectives. And that was pretty nice. Anyway, just thought I think. Cool. So the third question: what are some mutual competencies that you've seen on entrepreneurs with foreign experiences who entered Chinese market successfully? Please provide some examples if you can think.
I can talk about one company. I think last year there was a company, I think from Toronto, that we looked at, and then they are they're a Canadian team, but then they actually went to stay in Hong Kong for half a year because they really want to. Well, maybe a little bit background about what the company does. It's a VR company, but then their focus of their product is to help to enhance the user experiences for e-commerce shopping. Basically. So they spent half a year in Hong Kong trying to build strategic partnerships with Alibaba and JD.com. So I think they were able to build the strategic partnership with Jingdong.com, and that actually successfully doubled their valuation for their Series B financing. and that's very important. Well, one of the things that's very important is you have to find a very strong strategic partner if you want to enter China market. Yeah.
I think I can. Yes, the first entrepreneur I thought of is a guy from his name is Gao Tianchen in Chinese, but actually he was a businessman from South Africa, and now he is the founder of Naked Hub, which is called 我心谷 in Chinese. And Naked Hub is now one of the most famous resort in China, based in Moganshan. Moganshan is a beautiful mountain with like 3 hours drive from Shanghai. And Gao and his wife is an architect, a Hong Kong born architect. They founded 我心谷like 6 to 7 years ago, and now they founded. And Gao could also speak Chinese very well, Chinese Mandarin very well. And at the beginning, the resorts are targeting the foreigners in China, so they bring a wilderness